Modern medicine uses very different modalities. Like, we mentioned before, surgery, radiation, chemotherapy, which is very toxic. We stimulate, we sedate, we suppress using drugs. We've even used gene-altering therapies. The standard American diet and sedentary lifestyle are rarely discussed as any factor that's really contributing or not to your health. The role of nutrition is often downplayed. I can't tell you how many times I've heard someone say, well, I asked my doctor if my diet could be causing this, and he said, well, it might make you feel a little bit better, but it's not really going to have any effect on your overall health. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. And they often use treatments like dialysis or colostomies, surgery, again, and drug therapy. Whereas in natural healing is really very simple. When we're putting someone through a healing program, if they're having some symptoms or some kind of disease process, we typically use vegan, plant-based, primarily raw food programs, because the foods in that type of a diet have been proven over and over and over again to have all of the necessary components to prevent disease and not cause them. Now, I don't care what anyone says. If you start reducing a carrot down to all of its chemical constituents and you isolate one and then you give it in massive amounts to someone, you're going to probably cause a problem because that's not in its natural form. So we also use cleansing and detoxification routines. We use exercise and movement. You have to get the body moving. You have to get everything on the inside moving. You've got to stretch the muscles and the tendons and the ligaments. You've got to open those things up so they can receive blood and nourishment. And you've got to open them up to release waste. So exercise and movement is a very big part of natural healing. Body work for the same thing. We use hydrotherapy or thermal therapy because it conducts temperature to the body so much faster. And thermal therapy, usually it's hot and cold. We use emotional healing a lot. I can't tell you how many people I've heard of who were diagnosed with cancer, and usually within 2 years prior to their diagnosis, they had a very significant emotional trauma or experience that they were not able to get over. And you'd be amazed how emotional healing can have a profound effect on how your body is reacting to what you're giving it and what you're doing. So emotional healing is always considered. And a lot of times people don't realize that having a spiritual connection can have a very profound effect on their health. It doesn't matter what your spiritual practice is. The fact that you have one is what's important. The fact that it has meaning for you. The fact that you feel connected, not only to whatever you consider your higher power or your expanded self, whatever you see that as, the fact that you have a connection to it, and that you also have, I would also say, social connection. That if you have connection to other people, it is through other people that we have the opportunity to experience ourselves as unconditionally loving, and we have the opportunity to receive unconditional love. And to me, unconditional love is the one thing in the universe that has no opposite. We talk about the law of opposites. We talk about the law that there's opposition in all things. I honestly do not believe that unconditional love has an opposite. And the reason I say that is because if you can imagine being in a room with 4 identical walls, a ceiling, and a floor, and if there's a light source in that room, you imagine a light bulb, it illuminates the entire room. Now, if you place a table in that room, suddenly the table blocks the light from reaching the floor, and the legs will also block some of the light, and then suddenly you see a shadow. And so suddenly you have the experience of darkness. But darkness as a force itself does not exist. It exists as the symptom of something that is distorting or blocking the light. So if that makes any sense at all, the simplest, fastest way to remove the darkness in your life is to get rid of what's blocking the light. It's not a force you have to push against. It's not a force you have to fight against. You simply have to look within yourself and start removing the things that are blocking unconditional love from coming out through you. And so we so incredibly underestimate how powerful that kind of spiritual connection is to the health of our bodies. Our bodies are made of light and energy, and the more light and energy we allow in them, the more they function the way they are designed to do. As a matter of fact, and we'll talk about this later, they function in ways that we may not even be prepared for. So this is one of the things that's extremely important. If you're going to be looking at natural healing, we want to look at the whole picture. So we make changes to the way that we live, the way we work, we play, and the way we relate to the world around us and the people that are with us. So we have a much more peaceful way of going about achieving our healing. And to me, it feels like natural healing elevates us in consciousness. It elevates us above the problems. Whereas sometimes it seems that the world of modern medicine kind of drops us in emotions and drops us in our level of consciousness and how we're dealing with what's going on with our bodies. So just something to consider with this. So clearly you have a very big difference between the modern medical model and how natural healing works. And so we're going to use different products as well, because in natural healing, we use vegetables, fruits, grains, seeds, legumes, nuts, herbs, spices, sea vegetables, and all the plant materials in general. Plants are absolutely amazing at healing the human body. They produce, in their whole form, no side effects or after effects, unless it's a healing one, unless it's a positive one you actually want to experience. Whole food products, straight from nature itself, is what we use. Modern medicine relies on drugs that are often made from petrochemicals. They're made from animal waste. They are made up from ground up soil and rocks, often toxic metals, live viruses, bacteria, even nanotechnology, self-replicating materials, and just a host of other incredibly toxic things. Why would you put that on your body and consider it a healing experience? Now, don't get me wrong, I will tell you that modern medicine and its advances when it comes to trauma medicine is absolutely unsurpassed in human history that we are aware of. And I tell you what, if I got hit by a Mack truck, I want a surgeon at the ER stitching me up, because he knows better where everything goes, and they're so skilled at what they do. And they have really done a fantastic job at trauma medicine. So I will use natural healing for everything else. When it comes to chronic ailments and chronic disease, I feel like they missed the boat there, and we're possibly just feeding into a system that is designed to keep us just feeling a little bit better so we continue to come back for the rest of our lives, rather than actually completely healing the body. So, I believe every form of healing has its place. I think modern medicine is absolutely fantastic when it comes to trauma medicine. But I do believe when it comes to chronic care and lifestyle diseases, the big killers that are out there, I really think we need to start looking at natural healing more. That's just my perspective on it.